Capitol correspondent Jeff Pegues has the exclusive details.
We are flying a plane into the Capitol Wednesday. Soleimani will be avenged.
Sources tell CBS News the Pentagon and other agencies were briefed today about the digitized voice recording and believe it was designed to suggest hitting the Capitol on the same day Congress is set to count the Electoral College results. The recording refers to Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general killed in a U.S. drone strike ordered by President Trump, and came on the one-year anniversary of his death.
That threat is not considered credible. Months after a white police officer shot and paralyzed Jacob Blake, a black man in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the DA says he won't face charges. That as an Illinois teen accused of murdering Black Lives Matter demonstrators after that shooting pleads not guilty. Now this.
CBS News Radio is your home for breaking news. With our team of reporters around the country and the world, we give you the coverage you can trust.
Join Joe Pippin for Ask an Attorney radio show, Saturday mornings from 8 to 9 a.m. Ask an Attorney is Florida's longest-running radio show for over 35 years now. So if you've got a question for an attorney, call Joe Pippin during his live radio show. Ask a question, get an answer, free of charge, of course. Saturday mornings, live from 8 to 9 a.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Or to contact Joe Pippin directly, call 727-586-3306.
Initialize sequence.
Hey, what up, you guys? It's your girl, Vivica Fox.
I'm Kirstie Alley.
Hi, I'm Gina Lee Nolan. Hey, everyone. I'm Cassie Skirbo.
I'm Kathleen Gatti from General Hospital, Dr. Liesel Obrecht.
Hello, I'm Butch Patrick.
Don Snyder. You're listening to Dawn Reese on Hollywood Connection.
Lights, camera, action.
Hollywood Connections is here to help you get connected in show business.
So get connected and listen to Hollywood Connections, Wednesdays from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Enjoy.
Downtown Clearwater is one of the hottest new districts in Florida. The district will get hotter with the introduction of the District Advantages program. District Advantages gives you 20% off your total bill for 1 to 4 people any time of the day on all menu items 4 times a year. At each restaurant, that's over 80 discounts per year. Imagine 20% off your total bill at great downtown restaurants like Clear Sky, Roxy's, Tequila's, Chiang Mai, Seoul Sicilian Fusion, Carolyn's Kitchen, and many, many more. Do more for less. Save hundreds. Subscriptions are limited, but Tan Talk has reserved memberships for our listeners. Simply go to districtadvantages.com. Use the code TANTALK and save $5 off your subscription. That's districtadvantages.com and use discount code TANTALK.
It's a beautiful morning.
Hi, I'm Paul Allen, and I'm the host of Good Morning Clearwater. We are found right here on the Tan Talk Network, 1340 AM and 106.1 FM, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll concentrate on Pinellas County and focus on Clearwater and Clearwater Beach. Weather, traffic, local and national current events, sports, trivia contests, and plenty of giveaways. We want to show the world why Clearwater Beach was voted #1 beach in America. Listen up every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. to Good Morning Clearwater.
Hello out there. Tune in every Saturday at noon on Tan Talk for Connecting Caregivers with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers. Every Saturday at noon, we will find resources, education, and a shoulder for the caregivers. I know it's tough, but we can work it out together. Look forward to you tuning in on Saturdays at noon, where you'll have tons of information. Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregiver.
Tampa Bay's Tan Talk, entertaining and informative radio for the Sunshine State.
Hey listeners, this is Robert from Nostalgic Radio and Cars. We all love to eat. Well, I would like to tell you about my friends at the Rib Shack Barbecue on West Bay Drive in downtown Largo. Their menu offers family-sized takeout dinners like delicious ribs, chicken, beef, and pork, or sit-down barbecue dinners, sandwiches, and even desserts. They will also cater your party. Everything is barbecued fresh using real oak for that great smoky flavor. So visit my friend Corey at the Rib Shack Barbecue in downtown Largo, West Bay Drive, or call them for a takeout order at 727-501-9090. That's 727-501-9090. They truly have the best smoking barbecue in town. Oh, and be sure and check out their great barbecue sauce. That's the Rib Shack Barbecue in downtown Largo, 727-501-9090. I'm telling Robert from Nostalgic Radio and Cars sent you. You may be owed some money. After 911 and 411, call 541. That's 727-541-1741. Call Gulfstream Motorsports for a diminished value report. Due to my 28 years experience in the auto salvage business, I'm very good with wrecks. So if your car's been involved in a wreck, call me for a diminished value report. Call 727-541-1741. You may be owed some money for the lost value of your repaired vehicle. And visit us at GulfstreamMotorsports.com.
Name, Kowalski. Occupation, driver. Transporting a supercharged Dodge Challenger from Denver to San Francisco. Background, Medal of Honor in Vietnam. Former stock and bike racer. Former cop, dishonorably discharged. Now he uses speed to get himself up, to get himself gone. Everybody's after Kowalski, for one reason or another.
Is there something I can do for you?
Well, like what?
Like anything you want.
Everybody wants a piece of his hide.
Maybe killed somebody. Maybe stole that big dude of his. Maybe both.
Get that son of a... They want to get him and put him away, but they'll have to catch him first.
Good morning, folks. This is yours truly, Super Soul, directed live transmission from KOW with the wham bam, boom boom, wake up music.
And there goes the Challenger being chased by the blue meanies on wheels. The vicious traffic squad cars are after our lone driver. The driver of the Golden West. The police numbers are getting closer to our soul hero in his soul mobile. They're gonna kill him, smash him, race the last American hero.
It's the maximum trip at maximum speed. Vanishing point.
Set the Wayback Machine.
Yes, sir, Mr. Peabody.
This is Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market and American Car Collector, and you're listening to Nostalgic Radio and Cars.
Okay, listeners, welcome. You're tuned into Nostalgic Radio and Cars, and I'm your show host, Robert. Run your computers and Google tantalk1340.com, and you can see moi, live in the studios in downtown Clearwater. Don't forget to check out our website, Gulfstream Motorsports, where you can find out all about us. And if you missed any of our past 400, how many did we do, Bobby?
541, I think.
541. Okay, 541. See, this is what happens.
541 1741.
That's it. This way. Hey, be sure and call if you need to crash. No. This is what happens when you reach my age and dementia starts setting in. You can't remember doo-doo. Anyway, Nostalgic Radio and Cars is where all our past shows are. It's our archive page, and you can listen to all, like I said, Bobby said, 540 some odd shows. My guest, my co-host this evening is Scooby-Doo, of course. And of course, Bobby is on the other side of the COVID 2021 Happy 21. New Year. Happy New Year. Studio. Are you driving driving a radio station there?
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Anyway, we got a great show for you this evening. We've got some new guests coming on. We're going to start off the year with talking about cars. We ended the year with musicians and
and
we are going to be doing a lot more of that this year, though. So we're looking forward to that because this is Nostalgic Radio and Cars. So it's Nostalgic Radio, which is music, and cars. And so we talk about both. And we're going to focus a little bit more and more on the music side this time. And we've got some real interesting musicians coming on. So we want to grab them all while they're still around. These are the guys, which was really cool for me because, you know, being in my early 60s right now, a lot of the guys are in their 70s and some approaching the 80s. And these are the guys that I used to listen to on the radio show back in the day. So, or on the radio station rather. And then I was influenced like a lot of guys. And, you know, back in our day, before they had all these electronic gadgets, You either worked on your cars, you built models, or you picked up an instrument. And my dad was a pianist. My grandfather was a concert pianist in Vienna. And so I had to learn how to play the piano at an early age. And then being the rebellious kid out of the 60s, growing up in Northern California, I had, I got to play guitar, man. You know, like everybody else, I heard Elvis. And I was there the night that I was at the ripe age, influenced by the Beatles when they were on Ed Sullivan in 1964. We were over at some friend's house. And that was pretty cool. I mean, to be actually be able to see that. I mean, we used to watch TV shows and unless you're my era, you know, in your late 50s, early 60s, 70s, you probably don't remember it, but it used to be a TV show called Don Amici. And there was obviously the Lawrence Welk show. And then, of course, there was Ed Sullivan and then a whole bunch of other variety shows back in the day. And of course, Ed Sullivan was probably the most well-known show, and he had some pretty interesting. I mean, he had the Doors were on Ed Sullivan, if I remember correctly. Rolling Stones was on there. Beatles obviously was on there, and that kind of started all that. So a lot of us were influenced by 60s music, and naturally, you gravitate to the music that you grew up listening to, and I did. My parents weren't exactly excited about it, and that's back when all you had in your car was an AM stereo, and if you had a few bucks, you had a AM stereo, AM radio, and then if you're lucky and you had a few dollars and you ordered the option, you got an AM FM stereo. But some cars didn't even have stereos. They had a little reverb switch in the back, which actually it was a reverb speaker thingy in the back, and then in the front you had like a little dial or a switch or something like that, and then kind of give it a wah 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 sound to it, which was kind of cool. And I remember the first time I saw one of those. I think it was a friend of mine. His mom had a Lincoln, and it had one in it. And then I started paying attention to it. And then, you know, a friend of mine's Pontiac had it, or their dad had it. And it's kind of cool, you know. So, but I grew up, you know, in a neighborhood where there was a lot of kids that were kids. There was a lot of us, you know, the big families, 4 or 5 kids. And there was older brothers and sisters in all these families. So the term garage band meant something to us because, you know, obviously if you were really good and you're successful, and of course in California, the Beach Boys were like the band, obviously, in the 60s. But as we rolled into the Vietnam era, then the make love, not war type deal. Anyway, you know, all that anti-Vietnam stuff. And, you know, the hippie movement kind of grew and grew and grew. And in the 60s, growing up in Marin County, but my mom and dad were in the motel business in San Francisco, I was kind of like exposed to a lot of that stuff. So I saw the hippies everywhere because they used to hang out in Golden Gate Park and places like that down to Marina District. And, you know, hippies were everywhere, you know. But a lot of really cool music came out of there. And one of the guys we're trying to get on the show, besides Robbie Krieger of the Doors, is a guy by the name of Freiberg. What's his first name?
David.
David, yeah. David was with a band originally called Quicksilver Messenger. They were out of San Jose, actually. So were the Doobie Brothers, by the way. But they were in like the late 60s. And they came to, you know, their big claim to fame is like right around the early 70s. And but Quicksilver Messenger was mid 60s. And so they were, and obviously Santana, we had Greg Raleigh on, who's one of the founding members of Santana. We had him on a couple of years ago. And so the music scene in San Francisco was pretty cool. And so obviously you were exposed to it, you know. Now we in the neighborhoods, a lot of the older brothers and sisters were also influenced by music. And then of course in every garage, not every garage, but most garage, beside a cool car, motorcycle or something like that, race cars, who knows, there was instruments. So when the bigger brothers and sisters weren't hanging around, us younger brothers and sisters were kind of like hanging out in the garage, and we'd pick up a guitar, pick up a set of drumsticks, pick up a keyboard, or hang out with the keyboard. And we would just bang around, pounce around in this stuff. And some of us kind of gravitated to it and kind of picked it up. And some didn't. But I was one of those kids that did. So I beat on drums and I twanged on the guitar and pounded on the keyboards, the ivories, as they say. And that was kind of like my background and my exposure to it. Then I moved, but I dragged my guitar around, and then I got involved with skateboards and bicycles and motorcycles and cars. And here I am at the ripe age of whatever I'm at. I decided to pick up my guitar again and start playing a little bit, but it's kind of boring when you're by yourself, and I don't play, you know, I'm not a lead guitarist like, you know, Eddie Van Halen or somebody like that, or who else? Jimmy Page is really good. Who's that other guy we had on here? Rick Derringer is very good. Oh yeah, and Ted Nugent's been on our show, very good. Even John Oates, another one. These guys all play lead. Lead's the guy that they run all the way up the fretboard, all the way up to the neck. And me, I stay below the first 7 chords or first 7 frets, and I just play some chords and some kind of some lead thingies, little finger thingies, and just enough to amuse myself and annoy my wife and my son, right, Bobby?
We're just dumber than a bag of hammers.
Something to that effect. Anyway, but I love guitars. I think guitars are really cool instruments. And then I kind of not really started collecting them, but I kind of have a few. And I'm partial to Fenders, mainly because that's what I really wanted to buy originally. Obviously, the 1965, 64, 5, and 6, the Mustang came out, the car. Fender came out with a Mustang guitar. Okay, they had a Dual Sonic at the time. And the Dual Sonic was a dual pickup, Dual Sonic, get it? I think they had another one before that. I don't remember what it was called, but there was 2 of them. There was might have been Music Master, Dual Sonic, and Fender Mustang. So the Fender Dual Sonic was a single pickup. Actually, they had a Fender Bronco too, single pickup. One had a pickup in the front, which was a neck pickup, and the other one had a pickup in the rear, which was a bridge pickup. That's it. And then if you have a Fender Strat and you had all the bucks, you had a Fender pick, you had a bridge pickup, a neck pickup, and then one in the middle there, which gave you a whole 3 pickups. But anyway, so
and if your F-150 doesn't move, you got a broken pickup.
Yeah, you got a broken pickup. There you go. But anyway, so I decided I wanted to get a Fender Mustang because the car was out, and a friend of mine had one. It was a pretty cool guitar. Mustang, obviously, car guy. It stands to reason. I was building models back in the day. And I walked into the guitar store, and the guy goes, yeah, we got a Fender Mustang, 110 or 120 bucks, whatever it was. And I go, wow, that's a lot of money. Kid on a little allowance a week, and took me a little while to save up. But anyway, so the guy says, but I can sell you this guitar right here. It's called a Lyle. Looks just like a Gibson ES335. Now imagine when you in the 60s walking in a guitar store, this is the height. I mean, when they made some really cool instruments, okay, you walk in a guitar store and you see all these sunburst colored and Daphne blue and Fiesta red and the Olympic white, and then all the other really cool colors, and then some psychedelic stuff that was out there back in the day, pretty cool stuff. But in the mid 60s, all the besides your Gretsch's, your Fenders and your Martins and your my mind went so what else was out there? Gibsons and your Rickenbackers and all those really cool 60s Goyas, stuff like that. Really cool Hagstroms, really cool foreign guitars. The Japanese guitars were coming on the market. So this guitar was a knockoff of a ES335, which is a hollow body, kind of like what Alvin Lee used to play with, B.B. King. They all played a big hollow body Gibson. George Harrison, I think, played my first short period of time, but he mostly played Gretsch's and occasionally some Fender Strats. And even Eric Clapton played a ES335. But at any rate, so I wound up with that guitar, which I still have, by the way. So I still have my original guitar. But since then, I picked it. But at any rate, yeah, that one. But at any rate, okay. Whoa, it's almost time for a commercial. But anyway, so since then, I've got a few other cool little 6 strings. But anyway, all right. So Bobby, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fire up the stereo.
Yep, a little tribute music.
To one of our
local radio legends here.
Yeah, one of the great local fallen radio legends here. So tribute to Kenny.
Mr. Kenny B.
Kenny B. Yeah.
Host of Oldies Channel Radio, Dining Out Radio, Craft Beer Hour, and On the Green Radio. Here's a song from one of the guests you interviewed recently.
He interviewed. Oh, yeah, I interviewed.
He interviewed. I was kind of talking to him.
Yeah. All right, hey, you're tuning to Nostalgic Radio Cars. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Never met a girl could make me feel the way that you do. You're alright. Whenever I'm asked what makes my dreams real, I tell them you do. What tweedly deep, tweedly dumb. Look out, baby, 'cause here I come. I'm bringing you a love that's true. Get ready. Stop making love. finally done. Look out, baby, now here I come. I'm bringing you with love that's true. Get ready. Start making love to you. Get ready. Oh, don't you know I'm coming? On my way.
Looking for car shows? Then look no further than FLACarshows.com. On your computer or on your mobile device, FLACarshows.com is a comprehensive list of automotive events, plus videos and news articles. Whether you're looking for car shows, cruise-ins, meetups, automotive festivals, cars and coffees, or anything else relating to an internal combustion engine, then this is a site for you. Check it out online or on your phone at FLACarshows.com.
There's a really big show tonight. A really big show tonight. Yes, sir. We've really got a spectacle for you this time.
Okay, we're back. Thanks you there, Ed. Anyway, you're tuning in to Stop Trading Cars. How about a big shout out to some of our listeners? Kevin, the Motor City ad man. Vic, how you doing, buddy? Randy, hey, buddy. How you doing, Randy? Kelly, you doing good? Ken, obviously we had Ken on the show last week. I did not get the chance to go down to Muscle Car City or whatever they call that thing. Was it Muscle Car City? Is that what he called it, Bobby? Something like that?
Yes.
That's it. Yeah, down there in Fort Myers. And Meekums is this weekend. I think it's this weekend, isn't it? Yeah. Meekums is this weekend. Don't forget, if you want to find out where all the car shows are, besides listening to Nostalgic Radio Cars every week, you can Google FloridaCarshows.com, FLACarshows.com. You can find out all the cool stuff. And, of course, if you're in downtown Largo and you're lost and you're hungry, you need to stop. Remember this, 426 West Bay Drive for some of the finest BBQ.
So if you're lost, hungry, and looking for a car show, we've got you covered.
We've got you covered. That's exactly right. So, and then, of course, in a week or two, Scottsdale, Arizona. Now, I am not willing to take the chance of flying in an airplane. I'm not, I don't buy in all this stuff, but I'm not taking any chances, and I'm not going to be trapped in an airplane with a whole bunch of people screaming with face diapers. But anyway, if I was motivated and I did have the extra time and I was up to it, I might just drive out to Scottsdale, Arizona, which would be really cool. But the problem is I wouldn't make it out there in a week. I would take like a month to get out there because I would detour to Arkansas, I would be in Texas, I would be in New Mexico, I would be in Idaho, I'd probably swing up to someplace in Oklahoma, and obviously I'd go back down to Texas, and then I'd go down to southern Arizona, and then up to northern Arizona, and then by then it might be next year, because there are so many cool places. I've done that trip before. I've actually driven out to Arizona and brought cars back, and I stumbled into some junkyards in New Mexico and Texas. And I got to tell you, the cars out there are still rust-free, clean, and solid. And it's really hard to resist some of those cars and to drag them back. But what was interesting is even when I was in the wrecking yard business and I used to buy good, clean, solid cars and I drag them back, nobody here would buy them. Everyone I sold went back out west. Because the guys out west know that the best is out west and his stuff's not rusty and it's good, clean cars. And of course, as an appraiser, I got to tell you guys that, you want to get the car that is complete as possible and as solid as possible. It's okay to replace some sheet metal, and you're going to probably have to do a little bit of that, But when it's a rust bucket, people going, I'll just buy a cheap project car and I'll be throwing floors and quarters and cowls and all kinds of stuff like that. Now, on Mustangs and some cars, Camaros, and especially if they were a northern car and got down here, not only did they rust from the top down, but they rusted from the bottom up as well. So somewhere in the middle there's a rust seam, or it's seamless. I don't know, just a whole bunch of rust. So, but if you can find a solid body, it makes more sense. And that's probably the most costly part of doing a car is the body work. Really, I see this all the time, and some of this stuff is really cool. Like last week, we were talking a little bit about that 1960 Ford sedan delivery that we took a look at. That was a pretty cool piece, and I've done the appraisal on that car, and it came up with a pretty strong number, but it was very, very tastefully done. They put 61, 62 Ford Galaxy XL bucket seats in it, which is kind of cool instead of a bench seat, because all your sedan deliveries and couriers and panel wagons were generally just a one seat in the front only kind of car, and then the rest was all pretty much a cargo area. this thing had a lot of unique features. As I was doing my research, and it was hard because I was trying to get a hold of some people up in Canada with the Galaxy Club to get me some information on this. So I was able to partially break down the VIN number. The Canadian VIN numbers are completely different than the American VIN numbers. I mean, ours are real easy. Ours are like, 0 for 1960, then it'll have 2 numbers for a body code, then it'll have an engine code, then it'll have a date code, and then it'll go into a serial number. It's like 9 numbers. The Canadians is completely different, and theirs is at the back, and then there's a row up at the top. And I wasn't able to break that down. I mean, I got some of the information, but not all of it. So I couldn't come up with the trim, or I couldn't come up with the color, the original color, but I got everything else, the body, the engine, and things of that nature. But anyway, so that's part of the deal when you're doing an appraisal. You're trying to, figure out what exactly we got here. But I was able to find out that they didn't make a ton of those. Somewhere around 500 is what the production number was for sedan delivery, specifically ranch wagons, which is how they start out. And the sedan delivery is kind of like a version of it, or a real stripped down version of it. And but this one had all this trim on it. But whoever did the car, they instead of having a 350, it was originally a 6-cylinder car, so they put a 390 in it. They put an automatic in it, put disc brakes on the front of it. Decent paint job, straight as can be body. I mean, it was a really nice car. Actually, it was a show quality vehicle. Apparently, it was like $70,000-$80,000 spent on it, and this car is worth probably about half. That's just the way it goes. Your best bet: buy one done, and if you're not happy with the color, just spray it. But get one done that's pretty close, and then add some of your accessory. But this car had 2 other really cool options on it. It had a real early high-performance 390 aluminum intake manifold, like either a 300 horse or Police Interceptor style. Then it had 427, 406 log style, big heavy-duty cast iron exhaust manifolds. So that was pretty cool. And really cool features. But that was a unique car, and that's up there in Clearwater, and I think that car is going to wind up going out west because the guy's going to buy it. And it's up there at Adventure Motors up there on Calumet Street. And they're good friends with my other good buddy, Danny at Golden Classics. But anyway, on that note, Bobby's going to go ahead and fire up the stereo, and we're going to get a special guest on. And we're going to talk about cars tonight. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to be talking about cars and cars and cars and cars and cars and cars. You're tuning into Nostalgic Radio Cars. So touch the dial. Here's a little... is this Vanilla Fudge, bud?
Vanilla Fudge.
Vanilla Fudge. All right. Hey, we'll be right back.
Set me free, what's on you, babe? Get out my life, what's on you, babe? You really don't want me, you just keep me hanging on. Your real hands on me, babe. You just keep me hanging on. Why do you keep coming around, playing with my heart? Why don't you get out of my life when seeing you only breaks my heart again? There ain't nothing I can do about it. You know I need love. Why don't you, babe? Talking about love. Get out my life. Why don't you, babe? You really don't want me. You just keep me hanging on. Get out my life. Why don't you, babe? Get out my life. Why don't you, babe?
At last, a controversial new motion picture that dares to deal with a serious contemporary problem which every man, woman, and child must come to grips with at least once in their lifetime.
Make them like this anymore. Why don't you go ahead and sit inside? Go ahead. This new upholstery, only 27,000 miles, and we just gave the engine a complete overhaul yesterday. Go ahead, kick her over. Isn't that the quietest engine you've ever heard in your life?
Used cars rolling off the blocks this summer into a theater near you.
Hey, Stan, trust me, huh? Happy motoring, Stan.
Trust me.
Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. Hey, come on. Trust me.
This is McKeel Haggerty, and you are listening to Nostalgic Radio and Cars. So get out there and keep driving all those cool cars.
Okay, we're back, and it's time to introduce our special guest for this evening. We have two guys joining us this evening. One gentleman, his name is Devin Crail, and the other gentleman is not the comedian, but he is John Goodman. And these guys are co-founders of an automotive enthusiast website called 0 to 60. I'm delighted to welcome to the show these two gentlemen. And how you guys doing this evening?
Doing well, thank you. Yeah, doing great, Robert. Thank you.
All right, so I got Devin Crail, and I got John Goodman, right?
Right, correct.
Okay, very good. All right, so Devin, just out of curiosity, give us a quick little synopsis of your background.
So I've grown up in the collector car industry my whole life and worked with my father, Charles Crail, collector car dealer, for the last 15 or so years. He's been in the business for 50 plus years.
Wow.
Specializing in mostly pre and shortly post-war Rolls and Bentley, but we sell a little bit of everything. And now John and I have partnered in this enthusiast website that kind of was enhanced by COVID and a lot of time on our hands, and it's been a really fun project for us.
Interesting. Now, where was yours and your dad's car dealership at? What state? Where?
We're in California. He started in Los Angeles and then moved up to Santa Barbara in the early 70s.
Oh, okay. Santa Barbara, nice area up there. John, what's your deal?
Well, so I conned my dad with my partner at the time. We conned our parents into buying us a 1980s 911 SC that I think we made like $600 or $700 or $800 on. We were at the top of the world in that moment, and consequently that led to effectively a dealership that has sold somewhere around 700-800 cars over the ensuing 16, 17 years. So I certainly know the market. I love the market. This is something that I've come back to after doing a little stint in commercial real estate. But it's something that I'm excited about constantly, and that's what Devin and I have created, something that we're both happy to go work for and look at every morning. You forgot to mention, John, that first car was in high school. It was, yeah. I was 16. My dad's an old Porsche guy, but still, it was an outlandish thing, and it still worked. That being said, I'll always appreciate him for it, but I think he knows that I pulled a little wool over his eyes at this point.
Well, now, come on. Now, I too, I'm primarily a Ford guy, so I'm Shelby Boss Mustang kind of guy. But I'm also very much in favor or fond of 78 to 89 911s, the G series cars, and particularly the that body style, just the coupes. I mean, I've had a couple of 930s over the years and some SCs, and I had a couple Carreras. And I really, really, truly like. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm in the market for. If you have one laying around in your hip pocket, it's an 86. And the reason I want an 86 is that's the last year for the 915 gearbox, first year for the improved air, and it still looks like a conventional 911. Just a nice 911 with a set of 6s or 7s and 8s on it, sitting down on the ground, no spoilers.
You've opened up Pandora's box.
Did I really? What, you got one laying around?
Yeah. No, but you're gonna get like 4 emails a day.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That works. We're going to have to talk about it. I have an 82 for sale right now, 911, that somebody wide-bodied, put a RS rear spoiler on it. In fact, we're going to have to talk after the show. I'm going to have to get with you guys because I might have to put that on your website. But since we're talking about this, let's talk about 0 to 60 and how fast we can get there.
So yeah, zero to 60. So part of John and our jobs as car dealers is constantly scouring the internet for cars to buy and resell. And shortly before COVID, we were always sharing the coolest cars. I mean, we can never buy everything that we find. So we were sharing a lot of stuff with some friends via email. And after COVID, the amount of cars that we were just obsessively looking for cars every day, sending them to our friends. They convinced us to that it was so exciting for them to whip up a quick website and share it with the world. And we were amazingly surprised at the reception we've gotten on social media and just site traffic. And that's kind of spurred our interest to see where we can take it and maybe do some partnerships or classifieds or who knows. But right now we're just focused on this blog and curating the internet for the coolest cars, the strangest cars, the lowest mile original cars, and the best deals, so that you don't have to.
Yeah, and Robert, just to put a mark on that, every single day it's Devin, me, and our team, and we sit there in the room and we just laugh. We We go through the best cars. Oh yeah, that one's fantastic. We're looking at everything that is available, and it's, we figured, especially in the absence of Cars and Coffee, it was something that we should be putting online. This is, an online Cars and Coffee, and we're trying to have that same kind of familiar interaction with this whole community. And I hope that we're doing that. That is the goal.
And I would say we're better than a Cars and Coffee because everything we're presenting is for sale.
That's true. Yeah. You don't get old McGregor with his, pickup that he won't sell for another 38 years.
How did the name 0 to 60 come to fruition?
That's one of those things that we can't really pinpoint, I'd say. Somebody brought it up. We were trying to brainstorm for a clever name, something that's indelible, something that maybe makes you think for a second, so that when you finally get it, you'll never forget it. And John, did you come up with it? I know I didn't.
No, it was Austin. One of our team members. He came up with not to 60. And not to 60 actually, would intimate that you actually are aware of European sports cars, right? Certainly British. And when he said that, we just went, well, okay, well, how about 0 to 60? That's not so bad. And the fun thing is that half the people that we talk to are completely unaware of the name, like what it means, until they actually type it into the URL line. And when they do, it 0 to 60. 0 to, okay, all right, we got it now. That is more memorable than anything else. We're not, trying to create some sort of media conglomerate here. That's not the case. It's just, if you remember it, then you're probably going to go back, and that in and of itself is well worth it.
And for your listeners out there,
I didn't like the name, to be honest. I didn't like the name. I was overvoted by our team.
And for you listeners out there, it's spelled ZERO and then the number 260. So it's not like you normally see the term 0 to 60 written out. Well, and we're at 0to60.com.
But here's the deal. Just like you said, 0 to 60. I mean, you kind of think of it, and I'm just going to digress here just for a second. Bring a trailer, okay, BAT. All right, so I started looking at Bring a Trailer, I don't know, in the early 2000s, right after it started out. And originally it started out as a blog, and occasionally there was a car in there for sale or something like that. But bring a trailer is a term. Like if I'm selling a car, I'm saying bring a trailer. Bring cash, title, trailer, whatever you got. Car. What I used to tell everybody, I said time, tools, and money is what I used to say. I used to be in the wrecking yard business, so I had West Coast wrench a wreck. Okay, so you would come in, wrench a wreck, self-service yard, and I would always say, bring a truck, tools, and a trailer, and then take this thing out of here and get it out of here, whatever it was I was selling at the time. So it's kind of a catchy name. Well, same thing with yours. When you say 0 to 60, you're absolutely right. You're not going to forget that because 0 to 60 is so common because the first thing I'm going to ask you on your car, your 911, will say, well, what's the 0 to 60 time on your 911? What's the 0 to 60 time on your MGB GT? And I'm a sports car guy kind of guy anyway. And what's the 0 to 60 time on your car? Because that was important, 0 to 60, And so it's really a catchy name, and it's kind of like cliche enough that you won't forget it. And it's like, it's car jargon, so to speak. Does that make any sense? I mean, so it's
right.
Yeah.
You're not going to forget it. It's going to be on your mind in the back of your, and it's something you just think about. 0 to 60 comes good. I like it. I like it.
We've been thank you. We've been followers of Bring a Trailer too since the beginning, and they kind of pioneered, at least for us, this kind of style of blogging. And we kind of wanted it, since they don't really do that anymore, we wanted to take over where they left off, but do it in a much bigger volume, because the amount of cars that are coming fresh for sale every day on the internet, especially on Craigslist for sale by owner, is in the hundreds and hundreds of cars a day. And so we're showing anywhere from 20 to 40 cars a day that are mostly freshly listed or just a couple days old.
All right, so let me hear the next question. I'm going to look at this as from a business guy, entrepreneur standpoint. How does this thing is this thing a revenue generator for you? Does it have that potential? Or where's it going to go?
That's a good question. We started it, like I said, just as a hobby. We had a lot of free time on our hands, and we're already searching the internet for inventory anyway. And now that it's gotten such a big reception with followers on social media and traffic to the site, we've now just started wondering, is there some way we can monetize it? Developing the website was very cheap, and keeping it in production doesn't cost a lot of money. But now with the site traffic we're getting, we are exploring partnerships, or we're not really sure, but we do think that there's possibility of monetizing it. We're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, just to further that point, we don't know. The fact is that we've got a lot of people that are happy to see it on a daily basis in their daily email. And even if they don't subscribe to the email coming to the site, where we go from here, we're not sure. It was a passion project at the onset. We weren't trying to compete with anyone. That being said, now we're getting some numbers that are pretty remarkable, and I think that COVID really has helped us out too. People are sitting at home and they want to see something interesting. Well, and if we can provide that, then we're happy to. For the time being, it's entirely free. There's nothing. There is no revenue model whatsoever. We're just sharing cars.
Well, that's what we like to do. We do have some pretty cool logos that some friends of ours helped whip up.
Oh, that's right. You can buy a hat.
We have shirts and hats for sale. So that would always help. But
I did go to the website. And I did sign up for it, so I'm on your mailing list now. So I did that.
Thank you.
I did that last week. And okay, well, here's where I'm going. So, you said something about partnerships. Okay, so Devin, are you still in Santa Barbara?
Yes, John and I are both still in Santa Barbara.
Okay. Well, you've got some. I mean, Santa Barbara, which is for people that are not familiar with Santa Barbara, and I used to go there vacation because I'm originally from Marin County. So my parents and they were in the motel business, so we would go up and down the coast all the time. And Santa Barbara was one of the places. In fact, we tried to buy a motel in Santa Barbara. It's called the Ming Tree.
I think wasn't the first Motel 6 here actually, technically?
I do not know, but I know that presidents have stayed at the hotel down there, and I can't remember the name of the one, but it's right there across the street from the beach.
The Biltmore.
It's a one-story building, Spanish-looking.
It's now a Four Seasons, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, back in the day, and I'm going back in the '60s, so when I was a little runt. But But I will tell you this: that and there was a church up there. I can't remember the name of the church, but we used to go to that all the time up there, and a mission. But Santa Barbara always had some really, really cool cars. A high-end area, a lot of amazing stuff, a lot of Ferraris, a lot of exotics up that way, Porsches all over the place. And then you go take PCH up the road there and head up towards San Luis Obispo, and you go across Madonna Pass and up in the Big Sur area up there. That's a beautiful stretch of road that you can just really get lost on, and not wind up like what's his name that backed his Cobra off the
James Dean.
No, James Dean. He would crash. He was in more inland there on the other side of St. Louis Obispo.
That was Coahuanga, what was that? But yeah, it's in.
There was a guy, yeah. Well, they made two. It was the Bill Cosby Cobra supposedly that went over the end there, and I guess McCluskey got that's another story for another day. But anyway, that's kind of a famous story, folklore among Shelby Cobra guys. And but anyway, where I was going with that is that there's a lot of really cool stuff in your area there, and are you guys familiar with the Peterson Museum and some of the car shows down there just south of you guys a ways there in Malibu, because they have them big shows down there. So because of the COVID thing, a lot of virtual car shows have come to fruition. And so I didn't really pay much attention to it. And being a car guy kind of guy that likes regular car shows, I couldn't get warm and fuzzy to virtual car shows. But lately I've been actually watching them just because it's kind of interesting, because there are some pretty cool cars. So I think you guys are on the right track. And yeah, you know what? So it's kind of like, when you get dealt lemons, you turn it into lemonade, and that's pretty much what you guys did with the COVID thing. And now this whole thing has just kind of spawned from there. And I wish you guys the best of luck with it.
Well, thank
you. Devin and I have partnered on cars back and forth over the decades, but we had considered really trying to do a little bit more journalism effectively. I have a film school degree. Devin is maybe the best photographer that I've ever seen. And so, you combine those things quickly. And if we're looking at other cars that are available every single day, well, he knows how to frame them the right way for how we should present them to the public. Why aren't we sharing them? That was the big question, and then ultimately it became 0 to 60. It's worth sharing. Why not?
So here's a question that everybody has: when you start out with a website, to gain traction and to get exposure, what are some of the procedures that you do? How do you really get it out there? I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that use Facebook and Instagram and whatever that other thing is, Twitter or something like that. And but you got to kind of build it up, because it's just like it's like anything else. I mean, you're on my radio show, and you might be on somebody else's radio show, and you might be to team up with somebody else in some other site, and it's all a matter of networking and marketing and exposure and telling some person, because I'm going to tell somebody about it. So and it's exponential. But when you're trying to get this thing off the ground, what are the grassroots? Some of the areas that you kind of like focus on a little bit?
We focused a lot on social media, but really word of mouth. It's amazing how fast something like this that people actually find interesting can travel by word of mouth. And by having that daily email that people can forward to their friends, there's such a variety of cars on the website that within a matter of days, something will appeal to everyone. And usually they'll be sharing that with a friend, because people are into different things. So social media has helped a lot, but I really think it's been a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah, and I'll bolster that by saying, I'm a Porsche guy. I don't actually care about seeing a Volvo brick on our site. But that being said, my good friend Lars is interested in a Volvo brick, so I'm going to forward that email. And that really, we weren't looking at this like a media conglomerate or anything. We were looking at it like, hey, these are cars that we like. We're finding the best 8 to 10 to 20 to 30 total throughout the day, well, why don't we share it? And frankly, this market, the collector car world is really organic. You can try to spend your way into it. We certainly haven't, but it's more about, just, hey, this is a great car. We enjoy what this represents. The random 80s, MR2 or whatever is not something I typically would have looked at. But if we're going to post it on our site, then it's a car worth pursuing. It's a perfect, original or tastefully upgraded. Basically, it's come down to, what do we want to see on the internet? And we weren't seeing that, so we, created.
And one of the coolest things I think about our website and sites like Barn Finds and other similar ones is that there's such a variety of cars that people like to go there to see stuff that they never would have normally searched for on the internet. You see stuff that you normally like, but you see things that you never knew you liked. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about our site.
Absolutely. I mean, I go to bring a trailer and randomly I'm looking at some 50s Plymouth that I never thought that I ever wanted. And yet I want it. And that, that's what we're trying to extend. It's a broad range of what we post. It's certainly not finite. We've got contributors, people that we're working with all over the country that, they have their own experiences with cars. I don't have any experience with 80s Plymouth, but one of our writers might, and that's great. We want that. We want that shared interaction.
Yeah, and I think where you're going with this too is, and like you, I might be partial to one or two makes or brands or cars or something like that, but and McKeel's a friend of mine, or an acquaintance rather, kind of sort of, well, I see him all the time at the shows, and same as Keith Martin. We talk about this, and the common thing is that you're right. We're of a certain era. So I'm a 60s, early 70s kind of car guy. I really don't have a lot of interest in the cars of the 70s or 80s and 90s and stuff. However, we want the hobby to perpetuate itself. And the only way to do that is to reach out to everybody and get these enthusiasts to contribute. And just like you said, if the guy shows up and he's got a 1983 Chrysler K car, or he's got a 70s, an 87 Monte Carlo SS, or he's got one of the last Pontiac Firebirds, 2002 or 3 or 4, whatever it was, or something like that. We want those guys on there because that's going to bring more people. And the more people that join and get into the hobby, the longer and stronger the hobby is going to be, and it's going to be out there. Because the other problem we got is there's a generational shift going on. And as some of these guys are getting older and older and older, the interest in pre-war cars, brass era cars, 50s cars will eventually wane away. And then, what's left? And that's a big concern out there for a lot of people. But I think you guys are on the right track.
Yeah, thank you. And it is a big concern, but I also feel that as the collector car world evolves, it never goes away. Prices fluctuate. As the older stuff starts to get some more attainable values for our younger generation, then maybe people will go out and buy a 57 Bel Air that used to be $50,000 and now they're $25,000. So it's dynamic. I read recently, I think Hagerty was claiming last year that Gen Xers and millennials outspent baby boomers in the collector car market, but we're buying cars that they made a lot more of, and they're a lot cheaper, sub $30,000 cars. So yeah, it's fascinating to see how the collector car world is evolving into the 21st century.
Yeah, and it really is going to change. I mean, whoever would have thought that a Vanagon was a like a 1986 Vanagon? Oh, Synchro. Oh, okay, all right. These are interesting times. I think the conventional idea of what a collector car is has shifted.
Yes.
And you know, these are the kids that were drooling over something in their neighbor's driveway. It might be a Honda, you know, CRX. It might be a Wagoneer. I mean, Wagoneers are a good example.
Yes.
You know, I mean, where did they go? They were $9,000, and then they were 50 if they were good. And that is, you know, I think
that's the direction it's going. Hey guys,
is changing.
We are up against the clock, so what I want you guys to do real quick is go ahead and give out the information on 0 to 60, and then I will get in touch with you guys because you know, I'm on the East Coast here. I'm in Florida, so maybe I can, you know, do something with you guys. But go ahead and give out the information real quick.
Awesome. Yeah, you can find us at www.zero260.com, spelled ZERO260.com, and on Instagram at 0_260.
Sounds good.
And we're on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff.
Very good. 0 to 60. Devin, I want to thank you very much. John, I want to thank you very much. We will definitely be in touch, and maybe we can do something. I'm a dealer here in Florida, so, you know, I run across classics all the time. But, again, I want to thank you very much for coming on Nostalgic Radio Cars and sharing all about 0 to 60.
Thank you for having us. It's been fun.
Thank you, Robert.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
We'll have you guys on again in the future. We'll see how you're doing in 6 months, okay? But hopefully I'll be involved and help you guys out a little bit.
Fantastic.
Very good. Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a good one. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You too.
Bye-bye. Hey, I want to thank all my listeners for tuning into Nostalgic Radio Cars. Don't forget, every Tuesday night here on the Tan Talk Radio Network between 7 and 8 p.m. Right here, WTN. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that other good stuff. Bobby, thank you. You did a great job.
Thank you.
And everybody stay safe, drive carefully. Oh, yeah, we want to see some of the car shows. Don't forget Meekum this week. Stay safe, drive carefully, and love your family.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
WZHR, Zephyr Hills.
FM 104.3.
Listen.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Peter King in Orlando. The polls have been closed for an hour, and the counting is well underway in Georgia's twin Senate runoffs, with both races too early to call.
Throughout the day, there was last-minute campaigning. Democratic challenger Jon Ossoff urging people to vote.
Be a part of history. Join your friends and neighbors. Join everybody in Georgia who's making their voices heard today.
At stake is control of the U.S. Senate. University of Virginia professor Larry Sabato.
Never in American history has control of the Senate been determined by a single state in a special election with 2 seats.
For Democrats to gain control, they need to win both races. Republicans need to win just one. Steve Futterman, CBS News.
The runoff comes on the eve of tomorrow's electoral vote count. President Trump falsely claiming that he won re-election. He didn't. Thousands of his supporters, though, are already in Washington to protest the results. CBS's Julia Bocano.
A lot of the speeches have been intertwined with religious notes. There's been a lot of Christian beliefs that have been intertwined into a lot of the rhetoric. At one moment, there was even a brief pause from the back-to-back speeches so that the crowd could join and sing Amazing Grace.
Among those in Washington, the far-right group known as the Proud Boys. Their leader won't be there. CBS's Lisa Mateo.
After being accused of burning a Black Lives Matter banner at a historic Black church, the leader of the Proud Boys has been banned from the District of Columbia, except to meet with his attorney or appear in court. Henry Enrique Tarrio was arrested in Washington ahead of planned protests by supporters of President Trump against the congressional tally of the Electoral College votes Wednesday.
And there's been a possible threat on the Capitol, possibly as that vote count happens. It came in a digitized recording heard on air traffic control radio frequencies. CBS's Jeff Pegues has the exclusive details.
CBS News has learned that while the government